In 1972, during the Apollo 17 mission, an ancient Martian artifact called the Hyper Gate was discovered on the Moon. It allowed for humans to travel to and colonize Mars. The settlers on Mars discover an ancient technology called Aldnoah and declare their independence from Earth, forming the Vers Empire. Eventually, the Vers Empire declares war on Earth, and a battle on the Moon causes the Hyper Gate to explode, shattering the Moon and scattering debris around the Earth. The remnants of the Vers army are cut off from Mars and agree to a ceasefire. They establish several massive orbital space stations they call castles, in the debris belt around Earth. 15 years later, we meet the Princess of Vers, Salem. She plans a diplomatic mission to Earth despite concerns from her close companion, Slain Troyard. On Earth, Inaho Kaizuki lives in the city of Shinawara, Japan with his elder sister Yuki. Yuki is a warrant officer and cataphract pilot for the United Forces of Earth or UFE, while Inaho attends high school, where he is being trained to be a cataphract pilot. Yuki, along with Lieutenant Marito, an alcoholic veteran, watches over the students' training. Back in Earth's orbit, Slain says farewell to Princess Salem as she prepares to go down to Earth. Slain worries about it being dangerous and gives her a necklace he is wearing, telling her that it's an old Earth charm that wards off evil spirits. Count Crucio comes in and informs the princess that her shuttle has arrived. Right after the princess leaves, Crucio hits Slain with his cane, reminding him he is a Terran and needs to learn his place. He leaves and Slain obeys. Back in Shinawara, Inaho and his friends go to see Salem's motorcade. Terrorists attack the motorcade of the Martian delegation with a guided missile. Some of the cars are destroyed, but the limousine carrying the princess narrowly avoids the attack. The princess crawls out of the vehicle, but there is a second volley and the princess is killed. In retaliation to the death of their princess, the Vers Orbital Knights launch an all-out assault on Earth via the descent of their landing castles from Earth's orbit. The UFE confirms that 19 of the 37 landing castles are coming down, targeting Earth's major cities. Lieutenant Marito explains that the Vers army is made up of 37 distinct military forces led by 37 different knights. The landing castles crash down, causing mass destruction and chaos to the cities. Martian cataphract emerge and completely overwhelm and destroy the Terran defenders, whose conventional weapons are ineffective against the Vers cataphract, which are armed with Aldnoah technology. In Shinawara, while preparing to evacuate, Inaho finds two girls and informs them of the need to evacuate. One of the girls subdue him and asks him what the evacuation is for, prompting Inaho to inform them of the assassination of Princess Salem. The girl then reveals to Inaho that Salem became ill after arriving on Earth due to the change in gravity, and it was actually a body double that died. Meanwhile, Slain transports Baron Trilrum and his cataphract to Shinawara in a skycarrier. Along the way, they are shot by Terran fighter jets but sustain no damage. Slain hesitates, being a Terran himself, he is unable to shoot back at the jets, so Baron Trilrum takes over and ends up mercilessly destroying them all. Later, the terrorists who committed the assassination meet up with Baron Trilrum, and are revealed to be Vers loyalists. However, they are killed by Trilrum to ensure the truth about the assassination is never revealed. Rayet, the daughter of one of the agents, manages to survive the attack and flees, but is pursued by Trilrum. Lieutenant Marito's squad engages Trilrum, but are defeated with multiple squad members killed in action. Inaho and his friends arrive in an evacuation vehicle and manage to save Rayet. However, Trilrum pursues them in order to silence Rayet. As they are being chased by Trilrum, Inaho's friend is thrown off the vehicle. Inaho catches him, but he ends up slipping out of his hand and is killed after being absorbed by the cataphract's shield. They manage to escape as they drive through a tunnel. Inaho and his friends find themselves holed up in their high school with orders from Marito to distract Trilrum while he comes up with a plan to evacuate everyone. Unsatisfied with being just a distraction, Inaho comes up with a plan to fight back against Trilrum and his seemingly impervious machine. Inaho is able to deduce that Trilrum cannot see out of his cataphract but instead must use separate cameras. The unknown girl and Rayet, both feeling some personal responsibility for the situation, volunteer to drive the decoy truck, and the team begins their operation. Meanwhile, Marito, backed by Captain Magbarage, rallies his crew and rescues the civilians from Inaho's group while Inaho, and his friends Kam and Inko, engage Trilrum. Ina Ho exploits Trilram's inability to see without the use of his cameras by getting everyone to shoot smoke bombs and baiting Trilram towards a bridge over open water. When Trilram finally catches the decoy truck, the unknown girl reveals her true identity as Princess Salem. This shocks Trilram, distracting him just long enough for Inko to destroy the bridge and drop him into the water. While in the water, the weak spot of Trilram's cataphract reveals itself. Ina Ho charges and strikes the weak spot, cutting the machine open and shooting inside. Trilram is defeated and Ina Ho and his comrades celebrate and regroup. Trilram survives and prepares an escape with Slain. He reveals that the assassination of the princess was a Martian plot all along, and that he must rearm and eliminate her as quickly as possible. In response, a shocked and enraged Slain pulls out Trilram's pistol and shoots him multiple times, killing him. The Martians bombard Shinawara as Slain leaves the area. Ina Ho and his friends meet up with UFE forces led by Captain Magbarage as they prepare to evacuate the area by sea on Magbarage's carrier. Salem decides to reveal her true identity in private to Ina Ho and requests him to help her contact her grandfather, the current emperor of Vers, in hopes of stopping the emerging war. Soon, the military finds themselves attacked by another Martian knight named Vlad, who pilots a cataphract equipped with a plasma sword. He is easily able to cut through a squad of UFE cataphract. Ina Ho and his friends go out to face Vlad. Ina Ho distracts Vlad, holding off his attack while Kam and Inko smash a large shipping container into the enemy cataphract's head. Vlad decides to retreat as the carrier arrives, providing reinforcements. With Vlad gone, Magbarage takes the opportunity to evacuate everybody aboard the carrier. It flashbacks to 5 years ago, when a rocket crashed into a castle on Mars. Slain appears in a spacesuit, pulling off his helmet. He chokes out water as he hangs. Princess Salem walks up to an unconscious Slain and tries to resuscitate him. Slain is revived as he lays eye on the beautiful girl. Back in the present on Mars, the Emperor learns of the assassination of his granddaughter but calls for a ceasefire while he considers the truth behind the events. Ina Ho and his comrades take the moment to rest aboard the carrier while Salem ponders if she should reveal her identity to everyone. Rayet disagrees, telling Salem that doing so will only paint a large target on their backs for the Martian knights. Vlad returns in his repaired cataphract, now equipped with another plasma sword, looking for a rematch against the Orange Cataphract, referring to the trainer cataphract unit that Ina Ho had piloted earlier in combat against him. Ina Ho rises to the challenge. He baits Vlad into attacking him. He grabs onto Vlad, and then rigs his own cataphract to drag Vlad into the ocean. Ina Ho ejects just in time and Vlad falls into the ocean. The intense heat from the cataphract engines and plasma from the sword sparks a steam explosion, killing Vlad. Meanwhile, Slain tries to inform the Emperor that Salem is still alive and that some of the orbital knights were conspiring to go to war. Just as he leaves the room, Count Sazbom, the mastermind behind the assassination, appears. He claims that Slain is trying to help the Terrans, feeding him false information. The Emperor believes Count Sazbom and immediately calls for war. Learning that Slain used the audience chamber to talk to the Emperor, Count Crucio orders his men to hunt him down. Slain subdues a soldier in the elevator and demands to know the whereabouts of the Orange Cataphract. Salem is upset over her grandfather's formal declaration of war. She assures the crew that Princess Salem has no desire for war and tried to act as a bridge of friendship between Earth and Vers. Lieutenant Marito states that the Orbital Knights have always dreamed of a righteous cause that would let them pull out all the stops and conquer Earth. Every able-bodied man and woman on the ship is immediately conscripted into service to the UFE. Kam is annoyed that he is chosen to be a mechanic. Captain Magbarage announces that they will resupply and make repairs at Tanegashima base, which appears to make Lieutenant Marito nervous. As the ship heads towards Tanegashima, Lieutenant Marito reviews his Tanegashima report, a report he wrote 15 years ago which recounts the battle between Terran forces and a Martian cataphract on Tanegashima shortly before the moon was destroyed. Apparently, the UFE higher-ups decided to suppress the report rather than admit the superior technological advantage of Mars in comparison to Earth. On the deck of the ship, Ina Ho asks Salem what Aldnoa actually is. She explains that it is the technology belonging to a super-civilization discovered in the ancient ruins on Mars. Her grandfather, the Emperor, was the first person to make contact and awaken Aldnoa. This led to him being recognized as the heir of Aldnoah, and the activation factor was burned into his genes. He then granted this power to the orbital knights, who used it to create their mighty castles and cataphract. Now, those who settled on the desolate lands of Mars have set their eyes on Earth, a land blessed with an abundance of water and air. Lieutenant Marito kneels on the deck with a bottle of whiskey, thinking of his best friend John, who died at Tanegashima 15 years ago. Captain Magbarage joins him, and reveals that she is John's sister and blames Marito for her brother's death. At that moment, the ship comes under an attack. Another Vers knight, Femian, attacks the carrier, armed with flying arms that are near indestructible. Ina Ho and his comrades deploy and attempt to defend the ship. Femian observes from high above and launches all 6 of her arms at them. The Terran cataphract struggle to shoot down the arms, and one of them gets grabbed and crushed into pieces. Marito attempts to go out to battle but ends up suffering from PTSD. As Femian goes for a decisive blow on the ship, Ina Ho manages to use high-powered rifle rounds to knock the arms off course to prevent damage to the ship. Femian keeps sending her arms at the ship, but Ina Ho manages to keep the ship protected, knocking each of them off course. But Ina Ho runs out of ammo and is unable to shoot down the last arm. Just as the arm is about to hit, it gets shot down from above as Slain appears in a sky carrier. And that's the end of the video. Be sure to subscribe and hit the notification button so you can watch the next episode when it's ready. Thank you and see you next time. At the end of the last episode, Ina Ho and his friends were attacked by the Vers knight, Femian. As their ship was about to be destroyed, Slain arrived just in time and saved them. Ina Ho is confused why a Martian sky carrier protected them, but he cooperates with Slain, and they are able to keep the flying arms away from the ship. One of the arms hits a cliffside on Tanegashima, revealing a hidden dock within. Knowing that the ship won't last long in the open, Captain Magbarage orders the ship to take shelter in the dock. The ship makes it inside and they destroy the entrance behind them, while Ina Ho, Yuki and Inko remain outside guarding the entrance. The crew decides to explore the hidden dock. They find a secret underground facility holding the remains of the Martian cataphract Marito fought 15 years ago on Tanegashima, as well as something else that shocks the crew. Outside, the fight continues. Deciding to take the fight directly to the Vers knight, Ina Ho boards Slain's sky carrier. He figures out that the flying arms armor is weak at the engines and the palms. He exploits this weakness and destroys them. They manage to destroy all of the flying arms. Femian is angered, her cataphract transforms and she attempts to ram into Ina Ho and Slain. They struggle to avoid her, but a barrage of rockets from the island stops her in her tracks. A flying Martian battleship emerges from the hidden dock. Activated by Princess Salem, the ship smashes into Femian, destroying her cataphract and killing her. Slain is relieved he has found the princess, but after an exchange with Ina Ho about his intentions, Ina Ho shoots him down in believing that Slain might be planning to exploit the princess. After the fight, Ina Ho and the princess debrief with Captain Magbarage on the situation. With the Mars princess alive, they plan to head to the UFE headquarters where they can broadcast a message and hopefully end the war. Meanwhile, Slain is captured by Crucio and taken to his landing castle. Crucio tortures him to try and find out why Slain betrayed him as Sazbom watches. Unsure if Crucio was involved in the plot to assassinate Salem, Slain stays quiet. And throughout his torture he relives several flashbacks of his childhood with Salem back on Mars. Slain eventually reveals to Crucio that Salem is still alive and that the assassination plot was carried out by conspiring Martians. Shocked, Crucio realizes Slain's loyalty and immediately orders for treatment of his injuries. Crucio tries to contact the UFE and organize a ceasefire and search for the princess. He swears for vengeance on the traitors, but suddenly his castle is attacked by a Martian cataphract. Crucio recognizes it as Count Sazbom's cataphract. Realizing Sazbom was the mastermind behind the princess's assassination, Crucio calls for his own cataphract to fight, but is killed before he has the chance. Slain is captured, as the cataphract transforms and escapes. When Slain wakes up, he finds himself in Sazbom's castle. Sazbom admits that he is the one who conspired to have the princess killed so as to rekindle the war with Earth, but spared Slain because Slain's father had saved his life 15 years ago. Back on Earth, Rayet tries out the combat simulator, claiming she can pilot a cataphract because she plays a lot of video games. She does well, but a simulation of the cataphract that killed her father gives her PTSD. Later, Lieutenant Marito also has a go with the simulator to help with his trauma from 15 years ago. He has flashbacks to when a Martian cataphract single-handedly destroyed his entire battalion. His tank catches fire and his best friend is trapped, begging for him to put him out of his misery. He shoots his friend and blames himself for his death. Rayet stands in the shower, wondering how the princess can be so calm and why the events so far have occurred. She falls to her knees. She struggles to empathize with Salem. Princess Salem arrives in the showers. When she is alone, Rayet sneaks up from behind and strangles Salem with her own necklace. The princess suffocates, and she falls to the floor unconscious. The ship experiences turbulence as the Aldnoah drive fails and the ship crashes down. Ina Ho finds Salem in the shower. He performs CPR and manages to revive her. She says she remembers being attacked, but Rayet suddenly appears from behind, grabbing Magbarrage's pistol and holding everyone in the shower hostage. She reveals she is a Martian and her father was a spy that tried to kill Salem. She blames everything that has happened, including the death of her father, on Salem. The princess stands up from behind her shower cubicle and approaches Rayet at gunpoint. She falls to her knees apologizing to Rayet. Rayet shoots but is unable to bring herself to kill Salem. She then turns the gun on herself, prepared to end it all, but Ina Ho rushes in and disarms her. He says he doesn't care she is a Martian, because they share the same enemy. Magbarrage throws Rayet in the brig, then goes off to privately watch Marito's confession of how he shot her brother. Meanwhile, Sazbom reveals to Slane the reason the Ver's empire went to war with Earth. The people of Mars suffered from chronic problems of producing sufficient amounts of food and water on an environmentally hostile planet. The Emperor used war as a means of distraction from these problems. He tells Slane that 15 years ago he and his wife, Viscountess Orleans, joined the attack at Tanegashima, but as the Hypergate went out of control and the moon exploded, debris from the moon came down, killing his wife. Back on Earth, the crew finally arrives at UFE headquarters. Salem is grateful to Ina Ho for saving her life once again. Princess Salem broadcasts a speech and calls to end all hostilities and reveals the truth of who tried to assassinate her. Sazbom tells Slane he has located Salem thanks to the broadcast and that his allies have intercepted it and her message will never reach Mars. He then frees Slane, stating his debt to Slane's father has been paid. He then offers Slane two choices: either stay and fight with him, or escape to Earth and be treated as an enemy. Sazbom's landing castle descends to Earth, landing near the UFE headquarters. The UFE forces attack the landing castle but are wiped out by missiles from the castle. The missiles also blast a path into the UFE's underground base. Sazbom launches his cataphract, entering the base, looking to kill Salem. He is easily able to tear through the defensive lines of the UFE. Salem is shocked that they are being attacked after her message of peace. She proposes that they transport her to the landing castle, where she can personally shut off its Aldnoah drive and cut off Sazbom's forces from their power source. With some help from Rayet, Salem manages to reach the ship safely. They shoot their way out and ascend into the stratosphere. Ina Ho formulates a plan to drop Salem to the landing castle from above while using unmanned dummy robots as cover for the castle's anti-air defenses. The operation commences as the dummy robots are deployed. They draw in the fire of the castle's anti-air defenses. Ina Ho follows behind the dummies, using them as shields. He is able to successfully land on the castle and launches a volley of missiles, taking out the anti-air guns. With the landing site secured, they signal Salem to drop. Suddenly, Sazbom appears in front of the ship, attacking with a great barrage of missiles. The ship sustains heavy damage and begins to fall. With the original plan ruined, Magbarrage decides to deliver Salem by ramming their falling ship into the castle. The crew aboard the ship are heavily injured, with the ship now embedded into the castle. Yuki finds Salem in the hull as Lieutenant Marito contacts them, telling them to continue with the mission. Salem wakes up and finds herself in the back of Yuki's cataphract. Count Sazbom arrives in his cataphract and revealing to Salem that he was the mastermind behind her assassination. Ina Ho tells Yuki and Inko to get the princess to the castle's Aldnoah drive while he holds off Sazbom. He trades attacks with Sazbom but soon realizes that Sazbom possesses the abilities of all the previous Martian cataphract. It has the shield that absorbs all attacks and wields the plasma sword. UFE cataphract open fire and support Ina Ho but are instantly wiped out. Slane gets into Count Crucio's cataphract, which Sazbom had obtained after killing him. Unfortunately, the machine is unpowered and Slane is disheartened. But suddenly, its Aldnoah drive is activated, surprising Slain as he should have no activation factor. Ina-Ho comes smashing through the castle wall as his fight with Sazbom continues. Yuki and Inko open fire but it is ineffective against the barrier. As blood runs down Ina-Ho's face, he tells Inko to run. Sazbom rocket punches her but Ina-Ho takes the chance to shoot the socket where the arm connects. Using the knowledge of the weak spots from the previous encounters he is able to gain the upper hand. He severely damages Sazbom, but before he can finish him off, Slain appears and tackles him. At this moment the power is cut as Salem managed to reach Dekor and shut it down. Ina-Ho and Slain crash through the wall to where Salem is. Slain climbs out of his cataphract while Salem assists Ina-Ho who is unconscious. As the princess helps Ina-Ho out of the cockpit she is shot and apparently killed by Sazbom. After witnessing much horror, Slain turns around to find Count Sazbom with his smoking gun, who thanks Slain for saving him. Heavily outraged, Slain pulls out his gun and shoots Count Sazbom repeatedly until his pistol jams. As he tears up, Count Sazbom is still alive, telling him to aim for his head. Slain turns around to find an injured Ina-Ho climbing out of the cockpit. He falls over and crawls to the princess's body. He remembers his time spent with Salem and realizes he loves her. Slain stops him and holds him at gunpoint. The two recognize each other's voices from their battle together against Femian. Ina-Ho attempts to draw his gun but is shot in the head by Slain. The battle ends with a victory for the UFE but the fate of Princess Salem, Slain and Ina-Ho is left unknown. That's the end of the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you would like to see Season 2. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.